All right, I believe we are ready to go. And yeah, so welcome everybody to the first show that I'm having of breaking down the NFL weekend. Um, this is a whole new week for me. Obviously, I'm done with live dogs. Um, had the NCAA preview on Tuesday and got NFL today. So this will be the new schedule for me throughout the week. NCAA on Tuesday, NFL on Thursdays, and then I still got a UFC show on Friday. So be sure to tune into that tomorrow at 6 p.m. And yeah, we can get straight into it. We're not limited to strictly underdogs here, as is the case with the new format. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be picking underdogs. As we see today, we got a couple that I seem to like. But first pick of the day, we can go with the Packers -3.5 versus the Texans. I think this is a lot of recency bias in the line. I think it's safe to say the Packers would be undoubtedly a bigger favorite if it wasn't for the dumpster fire last week against the Bucks, where it really just seems like Rodgers gave up after giving up the early lead, throwing 2 picks. One wasn't his fault, but anyways, it didn't really look like he cared in the second half to even try to make a comeback. But like I said, I just think it's recency bias. This is still a 4-1 team in the Packers. They're only 3.5-point favorites over a 1-5 team in the Texans. Obviously, Texans no stability at coach, front office, everything like that. I think the only reason why this line is so close is the recency bias, and I'm obligated to go against it. So you can look at the Texans. Each of their 5 losses this year are by more than this margin. And honestly, I don't think they're getting much better. Sure, they've been more competitive the last 2 weeks, but they still have the same issues on defense, and I don't see that getting fixed this week. They have an average point differential of -6 per game. They're only averaging 85 rush yards per game. I mean, they got some issues, and I don't think they're going to correct it. David Johnson might not be the running back that he used to be. A lot of people thought that he might do better in this new system, and while he's okay, that's pretty much it. He really is just okay. On average, they allow 60 yards more per game than they gain. They're actually where they're most lacking is their rush defense, allowing over 175 rush yards per game. And obviously, they're going up against Aaron Jones, so I expect him to kind of go off. They have not been able to stop any sort of rushing attack, and I think that's their ultimate downfall, especially in this game. Packers, almost the opposite in terms of like all the numbers and yards gained and everything. Their average point margin +5. They outgain opponents by over 50 yards instead of getting outgained by 90 yards, which is what the Texans do on the ground. But they outgain their opponents by over 20 yards on the ground. I mean, it's a whole matchup stylistically that I think really favors the Packers. They had one bad game last week. It doesn't mean that their Packers are suddenly unable to beat the Texans by more than a field goal. Just doesn't really make sense to me. You can break down the terms of talent, even if you don't want to just go off the numbers. But talent across the board, Rodgers is better than Watson. Aaron Jones better than David Johnson. Devontae Adams is better than Will Fuller, Cooks, whoever you want to consider the number one on that team. And you can look at the numbers on the defense, and you can just see top to bottom, this Packers defense is better than the Texans. They allow 80 yards less per game, despite not playing too much of tougher competition. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, really the only thing I got here is I just think that it's all based on last week, why the line's this short. And I think it should be a pretty easy one to hit. So Packers -3.5. That's my first pick of the day. And moving to the second one, which back in our old habits, going with an underdog here. Lions versus the Falcons. You get the Lions at +110. I believe the line's either +1.5 or +2. But we're going to go with them straight up, take them on the money line. And like you can see in the caption I got, I just think Detroit's the better of what's a matchup between two bad teams. I mean, the Falcons are just so bad. We got to be honest. They should not be favorites in any game this year. I don't know who they play down the line. Maybe they play the Jets or Giants or something, but I don't think so. So, yeah, sure. They won last week. Congrats. You beat a Dalvin Cookless Vikings team. Let Justin Jefferson go off on you, but still, congrats. You got to win against a team missing their best player, their offense is built around. But that's the only win that they have this year. Lions, on the other hand, maybe they're turning a corner. Maybe they're looking a little bit better the last 3 weeks. They beat the Cardinals, who are very respectable, beat the Jags, which it is what it is. And their only loss in the last 3 weeks is to the Saints, and it's only by 6 points. So less than a score to the Saints, and then 2 wins. But yeah, the main reason why I'm going against the Falcons here is that their defense is just so bad. They're allowing over 440 yards per game, allowing about 350 passing yards per game. So I could see Stafford having a big breakout game. As obviously I'm a big Stafford guy. I think he's still got a lot left in the tank. So I could see a big game for Galladay. For fantasy owners and DFS, I think Galladay is a great play against the Falcons defense. But like I have said, it's 2 bad teams. I just think the Lions are better. There's so many other issues I could mention about the Falcons. They refuse to run the ball late in the game with a lead. They blow leads like that. They have a lot of injuries on defense. Inconsistent wide receiver play. I mean, it has to be the Lions at plus 110. I respect what the Lions are doing. I think they're doing pretty good considering what they have in terms of talent. But I do think Kenny Galladay opened up their offense a lot. I think they were missing him early. And I think he's a difference maker, opening up the field for guys like Hawkinson and whoever else. So I think this is really just, if I see the Falcons as a favorite, I'm going to bet against them. So Lions plus 110. All the numbers lean in this direction. So I just can't overthink it and go with the Lions at plus 110. That said, we can move straight on to the next one. And another straight up underdog. Old habits die hard. I got to go with the underdogs. But 49ers plus 110 versus the Patriots. I don't know what to say. This doesn't really make too much sense to me. I backed the 49ers last week as underdogs. They hit at plus 155. I just don't know why they're underdogs again this week. The Patriots looked awful last week, and really they only have looked good in 1 game this year, and that was against the Raiders. But yeah, I mean, the Patriots just aren't who they used to be. That's no surprise. They're actually, on average, getting outscored. They're losing the scoring differential this year. Shocking for the Patriots, but it's true. They do have their game plan. It's a formula where they just want to run the ball and kind of grind out a win, rely on the defense. But it's tough for them to get back into games, which we've seen through the air because, let's face it, I don't even blame Cam Newton. He doesn't have anyone to throw to. Edelman's only playing 55% of snaps or something like that, and he's the only reliable wide receiver on the team. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be, and in my opinion, a low-scoring game. I think the over-under set at 44. I would explore the under because these are 2 teams that like to run it as much as anybody. 49ers, we know they run the ball. They are without Raheem Mostert this week, but Jerick McKinnon and Jeff Wilson have shown that they can do a decent job filling in. And then the rest of the offense, 49ers have better weapons at obviously tight end, with Kittle being one of the best, if not the best, in the game. They got wide receivers that are better. And honestly, even without Mostert, I think their running backs are better too. So I just think it's a more talented offense top to bottom. Plus, they're playing better right now, which is a good thing to use. And one thing that I've been seeing is that there's a lot of numbers that show that the Patriots should win the game. All these stats, they're 10-0 in their last games, coming off back-to-back losses, and with a home game after a loss, they win X amount of games and whatever. All nice and everything, but I've always been of the mindset that the offense was more Brady than Belichick's system. I think I'm probably in the minority there, but let's be honest, this is pretty much a similar receiving core to what Brady's had the last couple of years, and the offense looks much worse than what it did. So I don't know. That's just me. I don't put too much just don't put too much into those stats. I think those are more stats for Brady than they are for the Patriots. Obviously, the defense is still the same, very good defense, but 49ers are right there with them with their respectable defense. So just top to bottom, I think the 49ers are a better team on both sides of the ball. I don't know. They're playing better. I don't know why that they're underdogs here, especially after last week. We talked about it in the Packers game. I think there's a lot of recency bias, and apparently there's none here. Maybe I'm actually falling a victim to the recency bias, but we've had 2 bad weeks in a row for the Patriots. I'm starting to think that it might just be the new normal for them. Just unable to score points. Obviously, you'd think Belichick would figure it out at some point, but we're getting a little deep into the season here, and he hasn't really figured it out yet. So I do think the line should be close. I just don't think it should be this close, and I don't think it should be in favor of the Patriots. So 49ers plus 110 seems like a must bet in my opinion. It's just one of those lines that seems too good to pass up on. That's probably what Vegas wants you to think, but I don't know. I can't find a reason to not go with the 49ers here. So just keep it simple. Got to go with them. And last pick of the day. Hate to say it, but it is another underdog. I had to go with it in this game. It's the battle of undefeated teams. Steelers versus the Texans. Steelers at even money. I've actually seen this line move around a little bit. I think the Steelers might be down to about minus 105 now, with the Titans at like minus 115. But I think this is actually where it's at on most places. I could be wrong, so shop around as always. But yeah, I mean, it's the best game of the week. 2 undefeated teams, both 5-0, and I think it's an interesting matchup in terms of style. Obviously, I don't need to tell you guys that these guys like to establish the run game. Obviously, the Titans more so than the Steelers. I think Derrick Henry leads the league in rushing attempts, and rightfully so. The guy's a beast. But the Steelers' front seven is where I think that becomes an interesting matchup. It's scary. The Steelers only allow 65 rush yards per game. The defense in general as a whole is pretty good. I don't know. They're allowing only 318 yards per game through the air and on the ground. Titans defense on the other side, a little bit shaky. They're allowing more than 100 yards per game than the Steelers are. But yeah, I mean, like I've kind of been mentioning, everything that I'm going with here is kind of banking on the Steelers defense to be able to stop Derrick Henry. I know Tannehill has been good. I'm actually a Tannehill fan. I liked him when he was in Miami. I always thought that he was better than what he was given the chance to be. But I think the Steelers defense is too good to let up the points that the Titans have been scoring. So yeah, I don't know. I honestly feel like the perception of these two teams is that the Steelers have played kind of a weak schedule and they're kind of lucky to be where they're at. And then on the other side, there's a lot of people saying the Titans might be the best team in the entire league. I personally disagree with it. They do have 2 mutual opponents. The Steelers won each of those games by more than the Titans did. You can take that however you want. For the Titans' 5 wins, though, they're by 3 points or less or in overtime. And each of the Steelers' wins are by more than a field goal. So, I mean, I just think the Steelers are playing better. Maybe they're playing worse competition, maybe, but they got to step up in the Browns last week. I know that sounds weird just to say that the Browns are a step up in competition, but that's kind of where we're at. I think the Browns are a good team. Obviously, got some issues, but I think in general they are a good, respectable team. And they looked really good against them last week. So, I don't know. I just think the Steelers win this game. I just got a feeling about it. I don't know. I don't think Derrick Henry has a monster game. I think they rely on Tannehill. I do think Corey Davis is back for the Titans, which might open up the field a little bit, but I still think that A.J. Brown's their number 1 target. So, yeah, I don't know. Plus 100 Steelers, last pick of the day. Just another one seems like a line that I can't pass up on. You're going to give me an undefeated team that's looking very impressive, won each of their games by at least a field goal, and I get them as an underdog. So Steelers plus 100, final pick of the day. But one thing I will say, I wanted to put it in the show, but really there's a lot of variables that go along with it. I would want to recommend that everyone watches the Bucks minus 3.5 versus the Raiders. Pay attention to the Raiders' injuries and COVID and stuff like that, because their whole offensive line, the whole starting five for the Raiders on the offensive line is out for the second straight day in practice with all of contact tracing and stuff like that. So it could be an absolute mess if they can't play Sunday. So you definitely could, if you're paying attention to the news and find that they're, even if they lose just a couple of these linemen, and you can get on the Bucks minus 3.5 before the line moves, highly recommend it, because obviously Raiders love to run the ball with Jacobs, and with a new O-line in front of them, might not be a good showing. So watch that line. But I had the 4 picks, and that's all I got today. So like I said, I will be back on tomorrow at 6 p.m. to preview the UFC show. Great card. I would highly recommend tuning in. Even if you're not going to watch my show, watch the event. It's going to be a good one. And with that said, that's all I got. So I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. If not, I'll be back Tuesday with NCAA picks, and obviously again on a week from today to do this show once again. So yeah, good luck on everyone's bets this weekend, and I'll see you soon.